Yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen the new Gambler GOAT Swim Jig. It's absolutely sick. I'm super proud of it too because I kind of had my hands in designing it. But we wanted to do something. Anybody who doesn't love swim bait fishing, there's something wrong with them. And as you guys know, I've moved up to Alabama, so we're gonna be doing like a lot more swim bait fishing. We're always doing some swim bait fishing, but we're gonna be doing a lot more of this along with standard swim bait fishing. So we wanted to kind of put together a jig head off the concept of the GOAT, using that same head design style, but do something a little bit different. A lot of the problems that you have when it comes to swim bait heads is you get slippage on the bait. And what I mean by slippage is your actual swim bait or your soft plastic slides down, especially it happens on an A-rig, but if you're throwing like a big swim bait like a GZ or something like that, you can have it happen if you're kind of like running along the bottom and popping it or twitching it. You just get that slippage, and it's frustrating for two reasons. One, once the slippage starts, it never goes away. Like the bait's kind of cored out, or that space where that keeper was is already kind of bore in, so it's always slipping out. Every single cast, every single pop. And when it comes to an A-rig especially, you have so many baits on there that if you're replacing baits every like 5, 10, 20 casts, it is the most inefficient way to fish. So what we did is we actually put screw locks onto these swim bait heads, and it uses all the same, you know, GOAT swim jig design. It's got that G with kind of that bored out torpedo head, got multiple different hook sizes as well. One thing that I'm really stoked about is we did a few of these jokers in a 2-aught hook to accommodate, say, the Little Easy, or even something as small as the TZ, like super small little baits. But then on some of the other jig heads, we go up to 4-aught, 5-aught, 7-aught. So there's a wide range of hook sizes. But let me show you how I kind of rigged this thing up and how this screw lock works and why it's so efficient when it comes to swim bait fishing. So let me show you guys how to rig this thing up. This is the swim head right here. You can see it has that twist lock keeper right there. What we're gonna do, very first step, I got myself an Easy Vibes right here, and I'm using a brighter color so you guys can really see how I'm turning the bait in order to actually mount it onto the jig. But the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna actually bite the tip off. And what that does is it's just gonna make it a little more of an even fit with the jig head. So for one of the biggest steps when it comes to these twist lock hooks is figuring out where the hook actually comes out. And the best way to do that is to actually just set the hook behind and take a look at the bait as to where it's going to come out, and that gives you a good estimate where you want to push that hook out. So we know it's going to be right about at my fingertip right there. So I'm going to go ahead and thread this thing in, and it's super simple, just like any other jig head. So I'm going to thread it into the body and bring it down to about where I saw that hook line up, and then I'm going to draw that hook tip out just like that. And you can see right off the bat, the bait isn't like even with the jig, and that's because we got a little ways to go on this screw lock by screwing or twisting the bait up it so it actually locks on. And what you're going to do when it comes to that process is you're going to turn in a clockwise fashion, so just like this, and you'll find though that the tail of the bait kind of gets stuck behind the hook right there. See how like we can't fully turn it? So what you actually need to do is just kind of pull that tail and the body of the bait around and help it along. And so we'll make quite a few twists like this until we actually bring the bait up so it's flush against that jig head. Always taking that tail and just pushing it just above the hook and then twisting the full body of the bait onto there. Now, as you can see, we're pretty darn even right there. What then happens, if you look really close, I'm pulling on this bait, and we're not getting any kind of shift on the bait. So like I said, if you're stroking like a swim bait like up over shell, or if you're popping it off of wood, or I know a lot of times when I'm fishing like an Alabama rig, I like to put a little English into it. I like to snap the bait, and that always creates tension on the jig and the swim bait. So that juncture with that twist lock really locks it down and just prevents any slippage, which is hugely important and makes you super efficient when it comes to swim bait fishing. But if you guys want to check these things out, they're available at Tackle Warehouse as well as gambler-lures.com. It's the GOAT Swim Head. available in a wide range of sizes, anything from an 1/8 up to 3/4 ounce with various hook sizes. They all come with the twist locks though, and there's two colors. There's this natural kind of lead that has actually like a finish on it, like a glossed out finish, which I personally prefer, but then there's also a little bit more fancy head with like a white and a smoke kind of like cover, or smoke kind of head top on it. You know, just mimicking shad. That's what it's about when you're throwing these swim baits. You're mimicking shad, forage, whitefish, minnows, things along those lines. So they're two perfect colors to match up with your A-rigs or your swim baits, however you're fishing them. But check them out, dude. It's a sweet setup, especially if you're A-rig fishing, and it's gonna save you a lot of headaches with that bait slippage problem when it comes to swim bait fishing.